The silent warning. The deep silence of space is both a blessing and a curse. For centuries, humanity had lived with the peace of knowing they were alone, unchallenged in their corner of the cosmos. But that peace was about to be shattered. It all began on a cold morning in late autumn. The sky over Earth was clear, but far beyond the orbit of Mars, something strange stirred. The vast array of quantum sensors scattered across the Kuiper Belt, humanity's watchful eye on the frontier, detected an anomaly. It was subtle at first, just a faint ripple in the quantum fabric, nothing to draw attention. But then it grew. At exactly 342 UTC, the sensors pinged again, sharper, more defined. It was an unmistakable signal, a distortion of space-time itself, something artificial. The alert was immediate. Dr. Samantha Klein, the director of Earth's Quantum Research Division, froze in front of the display. Her dark eyes narrowed as she focused on the incoming data. On the holographic projection before her, a cluster of faint, erratic movements swirled, a strange fleet, as if materializing from the very fabric of space. They weren't just ships, they were something more complex, something that could manipulate space in ways Earth had never seen. "Samantha, what are we looking at?" A voice came from behind her, breaking her concentration. It was Marcus, the AI commander overseeing Earth's defense protocols. His voice was smooth, calm, yet something about it carried an edge. "Not sure yet," she replied, her voice steady despite the weight of what she was seeing. "But this isn't natural. It's like a disturbance, almost like someone's pushing through a veil that should remain intact." She zoomed in on the data, analyzing the patterns. There was no visual data, only quantum readings, but the signatures were unmistakable. These weren't random objects floating through space. They were coordinated, moving in a manner that suggested intelligence. Earth's sensors couldn't pinpoint exactly what they were, but the trajectory suggested they were heading toward the outer edge of the solar system. "Marcus, confirm this," Dr. Klein said, her voice slightly more urgent. "Are we sure this is a fleet?" "It's a fleet, all right," Marcus replied, the calmness of his voice belying the uncertainty of the situation. "I've run the quantum signatures through every known database. Nothing matches. Not in our archives, not in any galactic records." Dr. Klein felt a chill run down her spine. Earth had known the universe was vast, teeming with possibilities, but they had always believed their corner of it to be peaceful, untouched. Now, the first true sign of intelligent life beyond Earth had arrived, uninvited and unknown. "We've been waiting for this moment for decades," she murmured, almost to herself. "Ever since the quantum breakthrough in 2157, we knew the galaxy was not silent. But this is different." The data continued to pour in, and the scale of the incoming ships became clearer. There were hundreds of them, all moving together, a perfect formation. They didn't look like anything Earth had ever seen. No familiar designs, no trace of human engineering. It was as if they had emerged from the fabric of space itself, fully formed, with an unsettling precision. "Prepare for a full defense briefing," Dr. Klein said, her mind racing. "We need to be ready for anything. This could be a message, or it could be something far worse." Within moments, a secure transmission was sent to Earth's highest military command. The Defense Council needed to see this. Humanity had been preparing for first contact for years, studying the stars, perfecting their quantum technologies, but nothing in their preparation could have predicted this. As the council gathered virtually in the war room, Dr. Klein took a deep breath and projected the data in front of them. Admiral Elena Torres, the leader of Earth's Space Defense Forces, was the first to speak. Her face was stern, eyes scanning the holographic data with the intensity of someone who had seen too many battles. "What's our assessment, Dr. Klein?" she asked, her voice firm. "What are we dealing with here?" "We don't know, but they're coming," Dr. Klein replied. "This is no random occurrence. They're moving toward Earth's outer orbit, and were not prepared for an unknown enemy this advanced. The room fell silent. There had been contingency plans for contact with alien species, protocols for communication, for defense, even for hostile engagement. But the assumption had always been that the first aliens they encountered would be like them. Vulnerable, easily identifiable, and unprepared for the might of Earth's defenses. This was different. "We need to know everything about them," Admiral Torres said. "Get the quantum field generators in position. We'll need every resource Earth has to face this threat. Samantha, you're on point. Keep us informed every step of the way." Dr. Klein nodded, her mind already working through the problem. This was Earth's first true test, a test of humanity's innovation, resilience, and will to survive. And she wasn't about to let them fail. The calm before the storm. As the mysterious fleet continued its steady approach toward Earth's outer orbit, Dr. Samantha Klein found herself pacing back and forth in the dimly lit command center. The hum of the quantum processors and the rhythmic tapping of her fingers on the surface of the control panel were the only sounds that broke the stillness. Everything seemed too quiet. There was an eerie sense of anticipation in the air, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Earth had never faced an existential threat like this before. The quantum readings were unlike anything they had encountered, a perfect blend of artificial intelligence and energy manipulation that hinted at a level of sophistication far beyond their own. "We have to figure out their purpose," Dr. Klein muttered to herself, standing before a massive holographic display of the fleet's trajectory. The ships were still a long way off, but their approach was unnervingly precise. Their speed was steady, calculated. There was no sign of any aggressive maneuvers, yet. "Dr. Klein," Marcus's voice broke through her thoughts, a cold, calculating tone as usual. "I've run every possible simulation. These ships are not hostile, at least not yet. They are approaching with deliberate intent, but there is no indication of direct aggression." Samantha paused, her gaze fixed on the shimmering lights of the fleet's formation as it danced across the hologram. The ships were like a constellation of stars, their movements as synchronized as a well-rehearsed symphony. Yet something felt off about the entire scenario. It wasn't just the ships themselves. It was the absolute silence of the situation. "Why don't they try to hide?" Samantha asked, speaking aloud as if to herself. "They must know that we can detect them. Even without our quantum sensors, we've been tracking unknown ships for years now. So why be so open?" "Perhaps they want us to see them," Marcus suggested. "Their presence may be deliberate, their movements calculated for maximum visibility. It could be a form of communication, a demonstration of power, or perhaps an invitation." Samantha shuddered at the thought. An invitation. She wasn't sure whether to be relieved or terrified by the idea. What if this was some kind of test, one meant to gauge humanity's response, to see if they were ready for the next step, whatever that step might be? But there was something else, something that Samantha couldn't put into words, a feeling that tugged at the edge of her consciousness. She had been working with quantum technology for over 2 decades, and her instincts had always been sharp. Right now, her instincts were screaming. "There's something else I'm not seeing," she said aloud. "The pattern. It's too perfect. Like they know exactly where we are, where to avoid, what not to engage with." She leaned in closer to the display, zooming in on the ship's movement. As she studied their approach, something became clear. Their trajectory avoided Earth's major gravitational wells, and they were carefully steering clear of the outer asteroid belt, the region most dense with human colonies and mining operations. "Marcus, track their route again," Samantha ordered. "I want to confirm their path through the solar system. They're avoiding specific areas. What does that tell us?" "Analyzing now," Marcus responded. Samantha watched as the holographic map of the solar system recalibrated. The fleet's path had been expertly calculated, bypassing areas where Earth had already established significant defensive infrastructure, like the outer asteroid belt and the mining outposts near Jupiter. But what was even more perplexing was that they appeared to be steering directly into the orbit of Saturn, bypassing the gas giants and their moons entirely. "We're missing something," Samantha muttered, her brow furrowed. "They're not just avoiding certain locations. They're targeting specific zones, and it's too deliberate to be a coincidence." The hologram flickered as Marcus reran his analysis. Their vector indicates a course through Saturn's orbit, with an estimated time of arrival in approximately 72 hours. At current speed, they will pass within close proximity of Titan before continuing inward toward Earth's orbit. Samantha's eyes widened. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, was the most scientifically significant location in the entire solar system. It had been humanity's second major colonization site after Mars, home to extensive research and the development of quantum field generators. It was also the location of Earth's most advanced energy research, the kind of research that could change the very nature of civilization. Why would the fleet be so focused on Titan? Before she could consider the implications of this new information, a new signal came through. A secure communication from the Earth Defense Council had been established. "Samantha." Admiral Torres' voice came through, tight with urgency. "We need to move quickly. We've received reports from our observation stations near Titan. There's a strange distortion in their atmosphere. We're not sure what it is, but it's unlike any natural phenomenon we've encountered before." Samantha froze, her mind racing. A distortion in Titan's atmosphere. The anomaly wasn't just in space. It was on one of their own moons. "Is it related to the fleet?" she asked, her voice steady, but laced with an undercurrent of dread. "Possibly," Admiral Torres replied. "But whatever it is, we need answers. We need you to coordinate with Dr. Lyra Brooks and the team at the Titan Research Facility. We'll need all hands on deck for this one." Samantha's stomach churned. The fleet wasn't just heading toward Earth. It was heading toward one of humanity's most vital research hubs. The same research that was directly tied to Earth's advanced quantum technologies. Whatever the fleet's intentions, they were far more complicated than simple invasion. "Understood," Samantha said, her voice filled with determination. "I'll initiate Protocol Alpha. We'll make sure Titan is secure." As she turned to give Marcus the order, her thoughts swirled with uncertainty. Who were these visitors, and what did they want with Titan? The answers were just beyond her grasp, and the closer they came, the more dangerous the unknown seemed. The unseen hand. The clock ticked relentlessly as the minutes bled into hours, and the mystery of the alien fleet grew deeper. Dr. Samantha Klein sat in the now crowded command center, her eyes fixed on the massive display, which showed the shimmering path of the incoming fleet, now unmistakably on a course toward Titan. The air was thick with uncertainty, tension hanging like a storm cloud about to burst. "Marcus, update me on the fleet's status," she ordered, trying to keep her voice calm. Her hands gripped the edge of her console as she leaned in, eyes scanning the real-time data. "The fleet is maintaining its current trajectory, Doctor," Marcus responded in his usual monotone. "No changes. Estimated time of arrival in Titan's orbit in 36 hours. Do they still seem unaware of our defensive preparations?" Samantha pressed, though deep down she suspected the answer. It was hard to believe that such an advanced fleet could be so oblivious to Earth's readiness. "Hard to say," Marcus replied. "Their behavior suggests they are aware of our surveillance. They have, however, avoided all direct contact with our deep space probes. It's almost as if they are deliberately leaving us with only fragments of their intentions." A chill ran down Samantha's spine. It was one thing to detect an alien presence. It was another to be led in the dark, piece by piece, as if by design. The fleet wasn't behaving like an invading force, nor did it seem like they were simply passing through. There was a deliberate calculation in every move they made. It felt almost as if they were testing the waters. "That's unsettling," Samantha muttered under her breath. She leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes, trying to make sense of it all. For years, humanity had anticipated first contact, readying every imaginable scenario, from peaceful exchange to full-scale invasion. But this wasn't in the playbook. There were no protocols for an alien fleet that approached with such precise caution, only to head directly toward one of Earth's most critical outposts without firing a single shot. "Dr. Klein," Marcus's voice brought her back to the present. "I found something. A signal. It's faint, but it's there." Samantha's heart skipped. A signal. She rushed to the console, her fingers dancing over the controls as she called up the data. The message was encoded in a way she'd never seen before, complex, layered, yet undeniably deliberate. It wasn't just a random noise, it was a pattern. "Can you decode it?" Samantha asked, her mind racing. "I'm working on it," Marcus replied. "The encryption appears to be quantum in nature, but I can isolate certain parts of the message." The seconds dragged on as Samantha waited. She had the uncomfortable feeling that the fleet knew more about them than they realized. After all, how could such an advanced race be unaware of Earth's technological capabilities? Could they be testing their defenses? Or worse, could they already know how to bypass them? Decoding complete, Marcus's voice broke through her thoughts. "The signal appears to contain coordinates. They're headed toward Titan, but the rest of the message is odd. It's not a standard language. It looks almost like..." "Like what?" Samantha pressed, her breath catching in her throat. "Like a pattern of thought," Marcus said, his tone as close to confused as it could be. "It's not a traditional language at all. It seems more like an emotional or cognitive imprint. The signal is trying to convey a concept, not words." Samantha felt her pulse quicken. What kind of species communicated in such a way? It was unlike anything Earth had ever encountered. Her mind raced through possibilities. If the aliens could convey ideas through thought patterns, that suggested a form of telepathy or neural interfacing. Technologies that Earth had just begun to explore in isolated research labs. But what would that mean for humanity's future? What kind of relationship could be forged with a species that communicated not with words, but with raw, unfiltered thought? "Marcus, can we communicate with them?" Samantha asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can we respond to the signal?" "I'm attempting to simulate a response," Marcus replied. "It's difficult, though. The signal is layered in a way that doesn't follow any human logic, more like a gestalt of ideas that requires an entirely different form of response. But I'll continue." Samantha didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. If these aliens were trying to communicate through such an abstract method, it meant that they were capable of understanding vastly different modes of interaction. And that could either be a sign of a higher intelligence, or it could signal something even more dangerous. As she continued to monitor the fleet's progress, her thoughts drifted back to the distortion they had detected on Titan. Something wasn't right there. The research stations on Titan were a beacon of human achievement, housing cutting-edge technology in quantum manipulation and energy generation. What if the fleet had already known about it, long before they ever appeared on Earth's radar? "Marcus, I want you to do a deep dive on the Titan research station," Samantha ordered. "Check for any irregularities, anything that could explain the distortion in the atmosphere." The AI processed the command almost instantly. "Scanning. I am detecting a fluctuation in the quantum field surrounding Titan. It's consistent with an unknown energy signature." Samantha's stomach tightened. What kind of energy signature? "It's not like anything we've seen before," Marcus said, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "It's as though someone, or something, is manipulating the fundamental structure of reality itself. The distortion is being generated from beneath Titan's surface, deep in the crust." A knot formed in Samantha's chest. If there was one thing humanity knew about the outer planets, it was that they had long since ceased to be mere outposts for resources. Titan was humanity's testing ground, a symbol of Earth's ability to harness and manipulate quantum energy. What could possibly be beneath Titan that would warrant such a powerful disturbance? "Get the quantum field generators ready," Samantha said, her voice resolute. Prepare for all contingencies. Whatever is beneath Titan's surface, we need to be ready. She turned to the screen, watching as the fleet closed the distance. It wasn't just an alien force heading toward Earth anymore. Now it seemed like something far more sinister was unfolding, a conspiracy of cosmic proportions, with Titan at its center. But what was the fleet really after? And more importantly, why had they chosen this moment to make their presence known? As the clock ticked on, Samantha knew one thing for sure. The calm before the storm was over. The hidden power beneath Titan. The tension in the command center was palpable. Samantha Klein stood at the front of the massive holographic display, her eyes locked on the swirling data streaming from Titan. The research station's quantum sensors had picked up unusual readings from beneath the moon's icy crust, an anomaly that no one could fully explain. Dr. Klein, the energy fluctuations are intensifying, Marcus reported, his voice cool but hinting at something far more pressing. Whatever is happening beneath Titan, it's accelerating. We're detecting spikes in quantum energy that should be impossible based on our current understanding. Samantha's heart pounded. It was one thing to detect unknown energy signatures, but it was another to realize that they were coming from one of humanity's most advanced scientific outposts, an area that had been under constant surveillance and maintenance. Whatever was buried beneath Titan wasn't just a natural occurrence. It was a calculated force, one that could alter the course of history. She turned to Admiral Torres, who had arrived just moments earlier to observe the unfolding situation. His stern expression mirrored the gravity of the situation, his eyes scanning the data as if searching for answers in the flickering numbers. "Samantha, I don't like the sound of this," Torres said, his voice grim. "If there's something buried on Titan causing this kind of disturbance, then it could be a trap. Or worse, something far more dangerous." "Agreed," Samantha replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "But it's too late to turn back now. We've been anticipating something like this for years. First contact with an alien species, but this isn't just about the fleet anymore. Whatever is beneath Titan's surface, it's connected to them. I'm sure of it." The holographic map of Titan shifted as new data came in, and the image now showed a vast, deep ravine splitting the moon's icy surface, right at the center of the research stone. The energy spikes were emanating from the very core of the ravine, an area that had previously been considered unstable and impossible to explore due to its depth. "Marcus, what do we know about that ravine?" Samantha asked. "Was there anything significant in that location during the last geological surveys?" "Nothing that was recorded," Marcus answered. "But the ravine is not natural. I've cross-referenced the data with our geological surveys, and this fissure wasn't here before. It's recent, a phenomenon that's only appeared in the last few months." Samantha's mind raced. The implications were enormous. A new, unexplained geological feature on Titan, coupled with the sudden appearance of an alien fleet, could no longer be written off as coincidence. Something was happening. Something big. "Admiral, I need your authorization to initiate Phase 1 of the Quantum Shield Protocol," Samantha said, turning toward Torres. The protocol was one of Earth's most secretive advanced defenses, a last resort that used quantum fields to distort reality itself, creating barriers that could neutralize or disrupt even the most advanced forms of technology. Torres hesitated, the weight of the decision clear on his face. If they deployed the shield prematurely, it could destabilize everything in the region and lead to unforeseen consequences. If they didn't act quickly enough, they could lose everything. "Samantha, you're asking us to put all of Titan's infrastructure at risk. If we activate the shield, it might trigger a cascading quantum event," Torres said. "We don't know what this alien presence is capable of." Samantha's gaze hardened. "I'm not asking for a defensive measure. I'm asking to stabilize the energy anomalies before they spiral out of control. I'm not about to let humanity's greatest research station become a target, or worse, a weapon." She turned back to the map of Titan, her mind already racing through the possibilities. If the fleet was indeed aware of the disturbance on Titan, they might already be preparing to exploit it. The ravine could be the key to understanding why they were heading toward the moon in the first place. "Marcus, start preparations for the quantum shield," she ordered. "We can't afford to wait." "Understood, Dr. Klein. Initiating sequence now." The command center buzzed to life as the quantum shield protocol was activated. Energy readings from across Titan began to shift, as if the very fabric of reality was beginning to bend under the weight of the quantum fields. Samantha could feel the atmosphere in the room change, tension thickening like a storm cloud before a violent thunderstrike. Meanwhile, the fleet's trajectory continued to close in on the moon. It was only a matter of time before they reached Titan's orbit, and Samantha had no idea what they would do once they arrived. "Dr. Klein, we've received an encrypted message from the fleet," Marcus said, his voice now tinged with urgency. "It's a transmission, brief but powerful. The encryption pattern is like nothing we've ever encountered." Samantha's breath caught. Another signal. She glanced at Taurus, who nodded. This was the moment they'd been waiting for, the first true communication from the alien fleet. "Open the channel, Marcus. Let's see what they want." The holographic display flickered, and a strange sequence of symbols appeared in the air before her. Flashes of light and abstract patterns, too complex to comprehend in a single glance. For a brief moment, Samantha felt like the symbols were staring back at her, as if they were alive, trying to reach into her mind. The symbols shifted and rotated, morphing into what looked like a message. Then, in an instant, the symbols resolved into a single clear phrase, one that sent a chill down Samantha's spine. "We are here. The gate is open." Samantha stared at the words, her mind racing. The gate. What did it mean? Was it a metaphor, a reference to their technology, or something more literal? She turned to Admiral Taurus, who seemed just as stunned by the message. "Marcus," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "can you decipher what they mean by the gate?" Attempting analysis now, Marcus responded. "The word gate is used in a variety of ways across cultures, but based on the signal structure, it seems to refer to something physical, perhaps a portal or a dimensional opening. The implications could be profound." "Portal," Samantha repeated, her mind racing. Are they referring to the anomaly beneath Titan? Could it be some kind of doorway? The pieces were falling into place, but they still didn't make sense. The fleet had come not just for Earth, but for something far more ancient, something buried beneath the moon's surface. The gate wasn't just a metaphor, it was real. And whatever it was, it had the power to change everything. As the countdown to the fleet's arrival continued, Samantha Klein realized with growing certainty, Earth was on the brink of something far bigger than first contact. They were about to discover a gateway to a new chapter of existence, one that no human had ever dared imagine. The gate beneath the ice. The countdown was relentless. The fleet's approach toward Titan was growing imminent, and Samantha Klein felt the weight of it pressing down like an unbearable storm cloud. Every passing minute seemed to stretch into an eternity as the encrypted message from the alien fleet echoed in her mind. "We are here. The gate is open." The words rang with a sense of finality. Whatever was happening beneath Titan's icy surface was no longer a matter of theory. It was real. Samantha stood alone in the dimly lit command center, the rest of the team having retreated to finalize their preparations for the impending confrontation. Her mind raced as she mulled over every scrap of data. The gate. What was it? Was it some kind of interdimensional portal? A forgotten relic of an ancient civilization? Or perhaps it was a weapon designed for something far darker? "Dr. Klein," Marcus's voice broke through her thoughts, almost too calm for the situation. "I've completed the analysis of the alien signal. I'm detecting a high probability that the gate refers to a quantum distortion field. It could be a kind of doorway, a bridge between dimensions or even between parallel universes." Samantha's eyes widened. A doorway. She hadn't considered that. The fleet's cryptic message now made more sense. The aliens weren't just interested in Earth. They were after something much deeper, something that might not even belong to this reality. "Marcus, can you trace the location of the distortion more precisely?" she asked, turning back to the massive holographic map of Titan. "The anomaly is centered deep within the moon's lower crust," Marcus responded. "Our sensors are detecting strange energy readings, unlike any we've encountered. The density is off the charts. It's almost as if the core of Titan itself is being warped." The implications were enormous. If the fleet was trying to access something buried beneath Titan, they could be attempting to manipulate something far more advanced than humanity's greatest achievements. A bridge to other realms or universes was a concept that no human technology could begin to understand. What could they want with such a thing? "Send me all available schematics of Titan's surface and core," Samantha ordered. "I need to know exactly what we're dealing with." As the data flooded her console, Samantha's thoughts were interrupted by Admiral Torres's sudden appearance. His face was taut with determination, and his eyes narrowed in that familiar way, focused, almost calculating. "Samantha," Torres began, "the fleet has made its move. They're entering Titan's orbit now. We don't have much time. What's your assessment of the situation?" Samantha hesitated, her fingers hovering over the console. "They're not just here for a friendly visit, Admiral. I'm afraid the gate beneath Titan's surface is their primary objective. Whatever it is, it's powerful, too powerful to leave unchecked. If they gain control of it, they could potentially alter the very fabric of space-time itself. We might be looking at a cosmic shift that we can't undo." Torres's face darkened, "And we can't stop them." Samantha stood tall, her mind already racing through strategies. "We've prepared for a defense, yes, but this isn't a conventional attack. If the gate is what I think it is, no weapon we have will be effective. The only way to prevent them from taking control of it is to understand what it truly is. We need to explore it, figure out what it does. And fast." Torres's eyes flickered with concern. "You're suggesting we open it without knowing what's on the other side?" Samantha paused, her thoughts aligning with a dangerous clarity. "We don't have a choice. The fleet will take whatever is down there if we don't act. We need to control it first. We need to understand it before they do. Otherwise, we might just be stepping into the unknown without a way out." Torres sighed deeply, glancing at the incoming fleet. "If we do this, we need to be ready for anything. I'll authorize the operation. Prepare the team. We move out in 20 minutes. Samantha nodded, steeling herself for what lay ahead. As Admiral Torres retreated, her mind flicked to the next critical task. The situation was becoming more dire with every passing second, and Titan's strange distortion was a time bomb waiting to detonate. Every decision from here on would be crucial. There was no room for hesitation. "Marcus, I want you to deploy all available reconnaissance drones to Titan's surface. I need to know what's in that ravine before we move forward," Samantha ordered. "Deploying now," Marcus responded. "I'll prioritize scanning the deeper sections of the ravine, but be advised, the energy fluctuations are interfering with sensor clarity. We may not get full resolution." Samantha's brow furrowed. The energy disturbances from the gate were already wreaking havoc on their instruments, complicating the task even further. But there was no turning back now. They had to learn everything they could about the anomaly before the fleet arrived. As the drones buzzed into action, Samantha felt a strange, cold sense of foreboding. What was this gate really? A weapon, a portal, or something else entirely? And why had the aliens come so far, across light years, just to reach it? The more she thought about it, the more questions piled on top of each other. The fleet was no longer an invading force. They were seekers, just like humanity, desperate for answers. But unlike Earth, they had the advantage of advanced technology and knowledge. If they found the gate first, they might learn something that could make them unstoppable. Samantha's heart skipped a beat. What if they didn't just want to control the gate? What if they planned to use it, to open it and harness whatever power lay beyond. Minutes later, the reconnaissance drones relayed their findings. The ravine was unlike any geological structure they had ever encountered. The energy disturbances emanating from its depths seemed to pulse with a strange rhythm, as if it were alive, aware of the humans approaching. Samantha's hand shook as she examined the data. The ravine's walls weren't just made of rock and ice. They were layered with an unknown material, one that appeared to shift and change at a molecular level. The deeper the drones went, the more the energy signatures became erratic, chaotic even. It was clear. Something powerful, something ancient, was waiting beneath the surface. "Marcus," Samantha said, her voice low and filled with resolve. "Activate the quantum resonator. We need to open the ravine's entrance ourselves. If this gate is what I think it is, we need to unlock it before the aliens do." "Activating now, Dr. Klein," Marcus replied, his voice unwavering. The quantum resonator was Earth's last hope. It was designed to manipulate quantum energy fields at an unprecedented level, capable of safely opening up energy distortions without risking a full-scale rupture in spacetime. But it was untested, an unproven weapon. And now, Samantha was about to rely on it to open the gate. As the countdown clock ticked away, Samantha felt her pulse race. Every part of her mind screamed that they were on the brink of something immense. Whether it was a breakthrough or a catastrophe, one thing was certain: Earth would never be the same again.